oak platter I turned and dyed the top of it with a ruby aniline dye. So now if you want to sit back and relax, I'm going to show you how I turned it and how I did the dyeing. I have an oak blank here. It's almost 13 inches in diameter, although it's not perfectly round, there's a flat spot. I put it through the drum sander to clean up this one side so it'll fit nice and flat against the glue block. This side I found as close as I can to the center, so I can use the tailstock to push that against the glue block. I'm going to put that on there now and start turning this.
With the blank sandwiched against the glue block, I will draw a circle on the back of the blank so I know where to spread the glue.
Is not dry, but I should still be able, with the aid of the tailstock, putting pressure on there, to true the outside edge and make this a round platter. I want to form a little bit of a cove on the edge, just so it can be a finger grip to lift up the tray. That should be just enough of a groove to use as a finger grip.
Now it's time to hollow out the top of the platter. It's time to remove the platter from the glue block. I'll go through part way with the parting tool and then finish it off with a handsaw.
I made these accessory jaws to fit on my coal jaws so I can put this in here. Now, as you can see, it'll fit anywhere from 12 3/8 to 13 1/8 diameter, which includes this one quite nicely. Now, coal jaws are rated up to 600 RPM. I'm going to run this at 750. I don't recommend you do that. Don't go against the manufacturer's recommendations. It's just what I do. And I'll clean this up with a 3/8 inch bowl gouge. And I'll clean it up a little further with an easy wood finisher. And that could be the end of it. I could put some oil on this. Not a bad looking little platter as it is, but I want to try something a little different. Being oak, it's very coarse grained, and although I'm not going to get a glass finish on here, I'm going to try filling the grain a little bit. To do this, I'm going to use a product called Timbermate. Now, this is a nice product. I've only used it once before, but one of the things I like about it is that if it gets dry, all you have to do is just add a couple drops of water to it and work it in and get it to the consistency of toothpaste, and it's ready to use again. Now, I'm going to dye this piece. Not sure how that's going to work out just yet. I want to use this ruby colored aniline dye. And because I don't want to have just this white showing up in there and then try to dye that, I'm going to put the dye directly into the Timbermate, work it in, and that will change the color, and I can apply the colored Timbermate to the wood. lighter than I want, so I'll just add a little more dye and work in some more. To apply it, I'll just use a cloth and wipe it across the grain and with the grain, trying to fill the grain as much as I can. I'm wiping across the edge from the inside out because I haven't decided if I want to stain the finger groove or not. And hopefully this won't run down into the grain around the outside. Timbermate dries fairly quickly, and one of the good things about it is that when you sand it, if it's dry, it will not clog the sandpaper. So I'll wait for a while for this to dry, and then I'll sand it. We'll see what happens, how well it fills the grain. The Timbermate is dry now, and I could sand it off, but I'm going to leave it on there because I want to put wipe-on poly around the outside edge and on the back. But I don't want it to migrate onto the front. So I will put that on now, then I will sand off the Timbermate, and hopefully the wipe-on poly will keep the dye that I'm going to put on the front from migrating around to the rest of the platter. We'll see. I love the way the finish makes the grain pop. This is looking very nice right now. I'll let that dry for a few hours, and then I'll put a second coat on, possibly a third. And then when I'm ready to sand the front of it off, I'll be back. I have the poly on now, and I have here what they call masking tape. I'm not sure they should be able to call this stuff masking tape. It is just garbage. It is so crappy it barely sticks to itself. But there's one thing I like it for, and that's if I want to put it on something with a finish on and I don't want it to affect it in any way. So I put 4 wraps of it around here to give it a bit of a cushion. Now I will put it into my coal jaw extensions I made, which will come right down in on the masking tape and hold this so I can sand away the Timbermate. And that's my next step. Now with the majority of the Timbermate removed on the lathe, I'll just go by hand here and take care of some more. I'm sanding across the grain for the most part because I don't want to go with the grain and end up removing the timber mate from in the grain. I will go, after I go across the grain, I'll go a little bit with the grain just to remove any scratches, doing it very lightly. I used compressed air to blow away most of the dust from the 320 grit I was using, and now I'll go on with 400. Try to do a little bit finer job. The dye I'm using is an aniline dye that I get from Lee Valley Tools. It comes in a small plastic bag, 1 ounce in a bag, and 1 ounce will mix up with water to give you 1 quart of dye. A quart will last forever practically, so I mix it up 1/4 ounce at a time in a bottle. I believe that's 1/2 pint if I recall correctly. And that's what I'm going to put on here now using a small piece of shop towel. Now, after giving the dye sufficient time to dry, I will add a second coat, darken it a little bit. And that brings us to the end of another project. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned a little bit about dyeing. I know I did. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a great day in your shop. Don't forget to subscribe and take care now. Thanks again.